Hello and welcome to The Ravens, a One Tree Hill podcast. I'm Simon and I love One Tree Hill.
And I'm Dom, and I've seen 185 episodes of One Tree Hill.
And tonight,
Wow.
yes, and tonight we are honored to be joined by someone multi-talented, an actor and a musician. As an actor, he has 82 acting credits, including work on massive shows and movies such as 911, The Rookie, Vampire Diaries, Hidden Figures, and of course, One Tree Hill. Within the confines of One Tree Hill, he was our villain and Brooke's nemesis, older brother to Jack Daniels, kidnapped Sam, murdered Q and Roy, Justice for Roy, as well as making a surprise return in season 9, putting in a wonderful performance as Tree Hill's creepy weirdo, playing Xavier Daniels in 7 episodes of One Tree Hill. It's Devin McGee. Devin, thank you so much for being here and welcome to the podcast.
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you so much, guys. I'm so happy to be on here. This is great. Thank you for having me. When you listed off all those credits, half of those I don't even remember doing, but I'm glad. Thank you for refreshing my memory.
You've got such a great IMDb and so varied and so many amazing sets and productions that you've been on. That's so great. But to take it back, if we could, how did you first get involved into acting? What was your entry point?
When I was in primary school or elementary school, I got involved doing plays at a young age. I was mortified, but also drawn to do it at the same time. I don't know. I guess that's part of my duality. I always find what scares me the most, and then I just pursue that. I don't know why, but that's just part of my MO. So I'm trying to remember the first production, the first play I did. I think it was a production of Grease. Actually, yes.
Nice.
Now it's coming back to me. Sorry, I should have been more prepared for these in-depth questions. Going back to the beginning, I played one of the gang members, and not a lead by any means, on my bicycle, as you do when you're in the first grade. So from an early age, I definitely was drawn to that. I come from a creative family on both sides. My mother's family and my father's family are all artists and artisans and musicians and visual artists. So I guess I had that creativity gene already. And so I did that for a while, and then I discovered other things, and I like skateboarding and girls and surfing, and I kind of fell out of it for a long period of time. And then when I went to university, when I went to college, I was living in Wilmington, North Carolina, and they were filming at the time Dawson's Creek, which was the precursor to One Tree Hill. So I did just some background work on that just to make some money, and I'd never been on a film or television set before, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. So that kind of reignited my interest or passion or desire to maybe I could, this might be something that I would like to do. I went ahead and graduated, got a degree in marketing, yada yada yada. Went on and worked some corporate jobs, but I just found myself feeling that I wasn't fulfilled. So I had moved away from Wilmington. Flash forward a few years later, after graduating college and working in the corporate world, I decided it was time to move back to Wilmington. I was missing the coast mainly. I'm an avid surfer, so I felt miserable being landlocked. So I wanted to be back by the water, so I'd always grown up playing music as well. I was in a band in Wilmington. I'd started or joined a band in Wilmington, North Carolina, and mutual friend of mine happened to work for One Tree Hill. She worked for one of the producers of the show, and she knew that I played music, and she said, "Hey, would you like to play drums on an episode of One Tree Hill?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And she's like, "And you'll get paid." And I was like, "Even better." That was I don't recall which episode it was. It was in an earlier season. With Michelle Branch and the Wreckers. You guys
Oh.
probably know. You've seen way more episodes of the show than I have. I don't know, but I joke, if you want to see Xavier before he turned evil, just watch either that episode, and then I think a season later, or maybe 2 seasons after that, I played drums on the show again, with Brian Greenberg, playing one of his original songs as well. So anyway, I was back on set again. I was like, man, this is like, I just like loved the energy. I loved the collective creativity of being a part of, some of the parts to create this, collective story, and just, visually, emotionally, um, and the great thing about One Tree Hill, which, being a musician myself, it was so concentric around music, and even a lot of the episode titles were from song titles. uh, so I just really loved how they weaved, and a lot of the cast members are also very talented musicians as well. So I was like, this is cool. It's like combining two of my favorite things into one. So long story, even longer. I started taking acting classes again, and and then flash forward a few years later, I started auditioning. I got an agent, and then leading up to One Tree Hill, I'd done some like independent films, some short films. Trying to think if I had done any other episodic television at that point. A lot of low budget stuff, but you have to start somewhere. And I had an audition for One Tree Hill for this, this bad guy that just happens to be robbing a convenience store. That's all I knew about it. It was literally like one line. And so I auditioned for it. I booked it. And then I found out later what my character ends up doing. And I was not a very well-liked character after my appearance on that show, on the episode, with Robbie Jones, Quentin Fields, an amazing, super, super nice guy. Yeah, it's always great seeing him. But yeah, so, and then that was it. I thought that was done, and I was like, oh, that was cool. That was fun. Well, flash forward a couple months later, the production reaches out and says, "Hey, would you like to come back and do some more episodes?" And like, well, twist my arm, sure, yeah, okay. So yeah, and then that was kind of the start of that character arc for season 6, and then again a few years later they called me back for the last season of the show, for season 9. So that was really cool. It was all just sheer happenstance, and I guess they I don't know, they saw something in the robber of the convenience store and the murderer of Quentin. They were like, oh, we can develop this storyline and kind of weave it into the world of One Tree Hill, and so that was really, it was just an awesome lucky break.
What a great answer, and great story. And you play the role so well, and it's so funny because similarly to, like, we've had Paul Johansson on, who obviously, like, playing Dan, who obviously, I mean, he has a long time to have a character arc and sort of redeems himself by the end, but is also just
Absolutely.
like, is such a nice guy in real life. And we've been told by so many people that that's like, the same with you, that you're so nice in real life and can feel that energy through the Zoom. And so it's so funny that these really nice people end up playing these really horrible characters. Like, did you have any? Did you have any like reservation about it, or were you just sort of like, oh, this is just going to be fun to play because it's just so dissimilar to who I actually am, you know?
Well, I'll give you a two-part answer. I wasn't thinking, well, when I initially booked it, I thought it was just a one-off, and even I didn't even know what I was going to be doing until like right pretty much short time period before we started filming, and then I got the script, and I was like, oh, this guy is not just robbing a store; he just killed a beloved character on the show, and yeah. So the first part of that answer is, as an unemployed actor, uh, sign me up. Yes, work is work, and it's part of our job as a storyteller to whatever the role calls for, whatever that however to serve that story. You can't pass judgment on that because there's a purpose for that character being there, in the storytelling. So I think, yeah, like I learned that I feel like early on, like never judge, your any character that you're playing, because in reality, if someone were that type of person, they're probably, I mean, maybe, but they're probably not going to be judging themselves. So they're thinking of what they're doing as justified or for whatever warped or twisted reason. So you have to approach it with that mindset of like, and it's fun. It's always more fun to be the antagonist. I feel like it's usually a richer story of mine, and more nuanced a lot of the times than just the leads, the protagonist. But so yeah, it's always fun to play those types of roles where you can kind of really find all those little nooks and crannies of like and more so now. I appreciate it even more now, having way more experience. I feel like I was still, even though I was older when I had booked that, I didn't have a ton of film or television experience. So learning that later on, everyone always says, if I could only go back and do it again, I would, change this or that. But you can't think like that, because the past is the past, and we have to focus, on what's ahead of us. But it's so interesting to go back. I can't. I have a hard time watching my own work, especially stuff from years past. I cringe a lot of the times. So, but also I think it's important to like study any performance that you do, whether or not it's just acting or sports or music. I do it with my band. After we play a show, we'll record it and we'll sit down and collectively discuss like what worked, what didn't work, and so we can, going forward, try to improve upon that performance. I don't know if that answered your question or not. Again,
Yeah.
I'm going off on a long tangent, but yeah, no, I love playing. I have to confess, I do get a lot of those types of roles or auditions for the not so nice guy. So it's always fun when I get a comedy, because I love comedy. I'm working on writing a comedy right now, and I comedy is just fun, and I love watching comedy. I enjoy stories that make you laugh and uplift more so than the dark, creepy, depressing stuff. But
Love it.
That's so cool. Yeah, what a great answer again. Thank you so much. Like
of
the
course,
explanation is
that's a
so
good
cool.
question. Thank you.
Like as a person that you already like come across as like just so kind and nice and friendly. How do you find when you've been given these roles that are not so nice, you know, a little bit murdery on occasions? How are you kind of preparing for that, or like stepping into that role? Like, is it suddenly like, okay, camera's on, I'm just kind of good to go, or have you got a bit of a process?
Um, yes and no. I guess the technical answer is and not, and we do, sometimes you don't, and especially with television, you don't always have the luxury of having the full script.
Mm.
Maybe right before you film, but even then, you might not have time to read your episode. So, you know, you just kind of try to map out what is the purpose of my character here and now in this situation, in the immediate term, and then hopefully, if it's a larger role and more than one scene or more than one episode, you also try to map out like what purpose is this character serving in telling the story. So yeah, like strategically, I think about it like, okay, relationship wise between whatever, if it's an antagonist character, whatever protagonist character I might be tormenting, and why, and what and you know, and really trying to, at least in my mind, go through the psychology of why that person would choose to behave in that manner or do those things. And, you know, a lot of times it's just basic human psychology. Well, people, you know, what motivates someone to do something, you know, that's not necessarily or wrong or illegal, or, you know, cross that threshold of, you know, ethical behavior. And, you know, it's fear, desperation, abuse. You know, there can be so many factors of what. So I like to. It's sometimes you don't have a lot of time to do this, but I try to craft a backstory for why I might be behaving in such a way or doing the things that I'm doing, from a place of truth, because it all starts with truth. I mean, that's the purpose. You know, that's our you know, job as an actor, as a storyteller, is to bring the truth to an audience, whether it's good or bad, like, and not judge that because, you know, walking in someone else's shoes, as they say. Like, I think really, and that's it's not an easy thing to do, to not, especially if it's, you know, a character like, say, for example, Evan Williams playing Jeffrey Dahmer. Like, you know, like I can't imagine the process that, you know, he went through to find that. And like, you know, I mean, was playing a real person, but like, you know, the research that went into that, and like, just, I mean, I can't even, like, you know, and yeah, especially when it's a real person. But yeah, like, just trying to find the truth of the character and what purpose is that character serving in telling the story.
Perfect.
Great answer. Great answer. Well, when you said you came in and it was the first episode, you just had that one line, but that one line basically became like a catchphrase in a way. Like, as in, there's not many One Tree Hill
Perfect.
characters that have a catchphrase, right?
Right. I just lucked out on that one. I mean, right. I mean, that's like my "I'll be back." You know, that was a double Arnold impression, but you know, yeah, like, yeah, that was a gift. It was just handed to me, and you know, I had no idea that would turn out to be such, you know, a memorable line for the show, for
But
the character. It's
it's
great.
me it's memorable because of the way you deliver it. Like, as in, and like Dom and I do it to each other all the time. Like, 'cause we play on a basketball team, and so like together, and so like when we're going off in our separate ways in the car park, it would just be like, "Have a nice night," because it's like. I mean,
That's great.
it's, you do it in such like it's the monotone kind of, it's nothing like your actual voice either, though, like what I'm hearing. It makes me appreciate it even further, actually.
Well, back to what the question you asked. There's the line, the words, the dialogue that we say as characters on a show or in a play or in a film or in life, and then there's the actual meaning behind what, or the subtext of what we're saying. So, you know, when I'm saying "have a nice night," you know, there's a lot of sadism behind that. It's not, you know, and it's such a common thing that people, I even say it to people like, "Oh, have a nice night," or "have a nice day," or, you know, it's just a common thing, a phrase that people say. But when you give it an undertone with a different meaning, it takes on a completely, you know, whole other life of its own. But yeah, back to there's what we say, and then there's what we mean, and that's kind of not acting in a nutshell. And listening, lots of listening. I think any good acting starts with being a good listener to your scene partner, and that's the most important thing. And what you actually are meaning, not what you're saying, but what you're meaning.
Yeah.
The truth behind what you're saying.
Whenever I hear that phrase, even completely unrelated to anything in our scope of life at the moment, someone would just say, "Have a nice night," and then I immediately hear, "Have a nice night." I can't help it now. It's there forever. It's just there. You live
And
rent free in here.
That's great. That's great. Well, I'm glad to be a part of that. Maybe, yeah, creepy memory. I don't know. I guess that means I did my job. I don't know. No, it's funny. Like, and I will still do conventions from time to time with. I just did one recently in Wilmington for Halloween, and people, of course, ask me to say that line, and I feel like it can, it's kind of like trying to recreate something that you did. I don't know. I don't know if I could ever say it the way I said it then, because that was a different time. That was a different me, and now I just, it feels like anytime I try to, some people will ask me to, do it in the way that I did it then, but I'm like, well, I don't know if I can, recreate that. Like it's kind of like lightning in a bottle type situation. It's like, well, okay. I'm not like, oh, I did such a good job of that, but it's just like, it was a specific place and time, and that was then. And it's like trying to recapture whatever that is. It's, which a lot of people, I feel like that to be the case, with any art form. It's like, or now recreate what you did, whatever, 10, 20 years ago. And you're like, well, I'm not that same person anymore. I don't know if I can. I can do something different and maybe hopefully just as interesting, but not, maybe not exactly the same.
I've heard that quite a lot from people that have like famously had things that have become catchphrases, and then people will ask them to say it, and they just like, well, I can't, because it will just take away from the thing that you love so much, because that was done. There's multiple takes. There's someone with a boom there. They've done whatever to it. It's like, where if I'm just telling you on the street, but also it's like, you're not there necessarily to just perform for people, right, on tap. But
The
yeah,
dancing monkey, like, do everyone do. But I get it. People, I mean, when something resonates with you, you want to recapture that. Like, and especially if you meet, someone that was, a part of whatever formative experience you may have had, whether it be art, music, television, a movie, and you want to recap, you like, because you feel a connection to that, whatever it is, good or bad. And then, so, when it's like a weird dynamic when those two worlds collide. For example, I went to a concert last night for a band that I really loved when I was younger, and I'd never seen them live, and they were performing here in Los Angeles. And so I got to talk to the lead singer after the show, and I felt like I just felt awkward and weird, and like nothing I say is going to be cool. And I just felt like a dork. And I was like, I don't know. I love your music. And yeah, thanks for being here. So it's just, it's the human condition. We all do it, especially if it's something that like, resonates with us. And then you meet that artist and it's like, oh, these two worlds kind of collide. But then it's weird for me too. So.
well, so Dom and I have been doing this podcast for about 5.5 years now, like taking one episode. Thank you. Dom's like, don't congratulate me on that. Take me now. Let me have a nice night.
Yeah.
But we do one episode a week, and so we really go into depth on this. And so we want to start at your entry point here. You come in. you kill Quinn. That's Quinn. Oh my God, you killed Quinn too. You killed Q. You killed Q, and
No, that's the reboot. I do that the
yeah.
reboots.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he comes back for Quinn. What did
Yes.
she do? Um, for some reason, like you kill Q, which is very shocking because his character arc is like really just progressing, and we're thinking he's really gonna make it and get somewhere, and then gone. But what Dom and I had problem with, like that's tragic, it's horrible, and there's characters take a long time to get over that. But there was two people that died that night in that gas station. You also took well, not you, but Xavier also took Roy's life, but Roy's never mentioned again.
Never.
So absolute justice for Roy. Like
Absolutely, justice for Roy. Right. No one talks about Roy, right?
we
We
do.
do a lot.
Uh,
So
rest in peace, Roy.
rest in peace, Roy and Q. Um, But then, you're further in, and like people, I remember my mind being blown that the connection was that like the person that attacked Brooke is Jack Daniels' brother that killed Kid. Like it did come together really nicely. How was it working with Sophia Bush, and then obviously Evan? That's then gone on to like be the success that he's had. Like you worked with basically like two of the big
Right.
juggernauts of the show. I mean, did that were you
Absolutely.
intimidated? Were you it's just they're all colleagues to you? Like what was all of that experience like?
Well, great question. Yeah, both of those people are immensely talented, and I'm so happy to see their successes because they deserve it. They're both such beautiful, genuinely like n nice people. So it couldn't happen to two nicer people. Yeah, at the time though, I mean, to be honest, I don't know. I mean, I, I feel like I always have nerves, no matter how long I've been doing this. The same applies for me playing a show, playing music in front of a new audience. And someone once told me, if use your nerves, like embellish those, because like that often can like elevate your performance, because the unexpected, energy, just use it to your advantage. And someone said, the day I stop being nervous is the day I will retire. Actually, I think it was Bruce Springsteen who said that recently. I went to a panel that he had done, and he said, I still get nervous every time I step onto the stage, because I'm a human, and I want to do my best job. And you know, if you're not nervous, to me, it means that you don't care. So I remember being extremely nervous to answer your question, working with both of those people, not because of, well, at the time, Evan, that he was up and, he was, you know, young and hadn't done a whole lot. Although he was already very talented even then, and then Sophia, of course, was the lead of the show. So it kind of feels like coming into a situation like that, which usually does with television. If you're a day player or guest star, you're not a series regular. You kind of feel like the new kid at school, because they all have, they've all been working together a long time. They have a shorthand, with one another. They know one another. And I'm like, hi, I just met you 5 minutes ago. Now I'm going to have to, say some really terrible things to you, and it's like, and that's kind of like television acting in a nutshell. And like, just, well, here we go, but yeah, like I, again, I often say, oh, if I could go back and do it again, I wish that I had done this or done that, or, because, at the time, when you're in the middle of something, it's often hard to see the forest for the trees. Like you're so immersed in that moment of what you're doing, you know, so trying to think on a long-term scale, what I would maybe tell myself back then. If I could go back, I would say enjoy it more, have fun with it, because like it's life is short. These like experiences are like it's hard though, because you're when you're nervous, you want to do a good job, but you're working with people that have been doing, especially on a series, working typically for a lot longer than you've been on it. And so they're just having fun with it, and they're relaxed and they're loose. And it's like, yeah, I'm like, I wish I could be like that. And if you're on long enough, it does start to shift your relaxation, your mind, which is, I think, really important, to be in that state of mind if you can, and because it allows you to be open to the experience and to reciprocate whatever's happening, whether it's acting or playing music in front of an audience, and you get receiving that energy back, and like just it's an immersive, like, collective experience. I don't know if that answered your question or not.
It's a great
Yeah,
answer.
I was actually going to ask something sort of quite similar, and I think you've kind of touched on it a bit. But is there like do you find that there's a settling in period? Like, I need to be on 3 episodes or more for me to be comfortable here, or is there? Does it depend on the set? Does it depend who you're working with?
yeah, yes and yes. It really does, like, because I've worked on some shows, and not it's just the way that they operate, where everyone does kind of seem a little standoffish, and it's not necessarily, but they're intentional. They're trying to be, cold, give you the cold shoulder. It's just everyone's focused on what they're doing, and that's just the way that they work. And then I've been on shows where everyone's like, "Hey," they're like immediately your best friend. And I prefer that type of atmosphere and environment, because it immediately, it puts you at ease, which is, where I like to be more comfortable, and it kind of gets you out. I hate using this word, but gets you out of your head,
Mm.
and gets you into your heart, which is where you should be. If you're an artist, you should be, it should be coming from here, not from, well, I mean, sometimes up here, but like
Yeah,
do the work up here, so it is here.
you can feel it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely. Yeah, but yeah, yeah. So it really all depends. But and the more I do it, the more I've done it. Like, you just kind of learn. Well, you just have to dive into the deep end, and just enjoy it, and allow yourself to not take it or yourself too seriously, because at the end of the day, as many people say in this business, we're not curing cancer. We're providing entertainment. So, I think it's important to remember that, to like have fun. I mean, and entertainment can be therapeutic, and it can be healing to people. And art, as art is, but I think with, yeah, just kind of reminding yourself, because I've worked with some people that take themselves so seriously, and it's not the leads of the show, or it's I feel like it's usually the people that are trying to prove something or prove themselves, and
Mm.
sometimes they're not always the most enjoyable people to work with, to be honest with you. Like, I'm like, what's with the attitude, guy or girl or whoever, I mean, I'm just, we're all here trying to do the same thing, like, it's going to behoove you to be, nice to me, because it's going to elevate our work together. But
Mm.
Exactly.
unfortunately, it's not always like that. But more often times than not, I've been very fortunate to work with a lot of great people that are very generous, and giving, and just like good souls.
Nice. Awesome.
Great answer. With One Tree Hill, so you've killed Q, you've killed Roy. Justice for Roy. That's never there's never enough
Thanks
times
for
to.
reminding me about Roy. I completely almost forgot about
Yeah,
Roy.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Let's keep him going in conversation.
feeling even worse right now.
Yeah. But when well, it's gonna get worse. It's gonna continue, not worse, but continue. But so when Xavier assaults Brooke, um, and there's like because there's a lot of flashbacks to it happening to there's the guy in the mask sort of jumping over and then like was that actually you in the like in the black mask?
No, and I'll let you in on a little secret because this is not a spoiler. Hopefully, everyone has seen the show by now if they're watching your podcast. Hopefully, yeah, I that was filmed before I even came on. So they uh, wove that story into my backstory, uh, and then I became that person who attacked her at the store. So originally, I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think the writers had intended for my character to be that same person as the person who attacked her. However, through the creativity and power of the magic of television, they made you believe that's what that was. Just for example, like when I hold the gun up and I, pull the trigger and kill Quentin. That's Sophia Bush's hand at the firing range. They just used that same shot that they stole that from. So if you look really closely at that hand, you'll see it's Sophia's fingernails, not mine. Yeah, so that kind of they kind of found a way to weave that in and make that a retroactive storyline. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, the magic of television. Yeah. So a lot of people, yeah, I always like to because it's true. Like that's her hand. They just use that insert shot because that was one of those things that they would have to film to take the time for me to do it. So yeah, there was a lot of fun little stuff like that, throughout but yeah, little tricks that little cheats that on any TV show where it's cost savings. Like, oh, well, we already have that. We can just pull from that, and no one's going to know the difference. But
it could all be coming round because I have a very unpopular opinion about season 9, which is that Xavier did just want to reform and get a job and be okay, and Brooke just keep pushing him to a limit of him losing it and then having to to seek vengeance for the attitude and the behavior. So maybe Brooke killed Q and Roy and framed Xavier, and it's all coming together now. It all makes sense. I haven't seen the last 2 episodes.
I like where you're going with this. Let's pitch this for the reboot, and then we can. Wow, that's good. Talk about a plot twist right there.
Absolutely.
That's in my mind. Like, how could I come back? Like, what could I break out of prison, or I'm released and I'm reformed and I help find this other murderer in present day Tree Hill. So many possibilities. But I like your suggestion actually the best. That's brilliant. All right, you get a co-writing credit if this happens. Yeah.
Excellent.
No, that's brilliant. I love it.
Well, as it kind of builds through, we get to like in the season 6 part anyway, we get to like the crescendo of you holding, or sorry, Xavier holding Sam hostage,
Right.
like and Brooke sort of coming to save the day and everything. And there's like a really big scene. There's a lot of high emotion and there's a lot going on there. Like what was your memory of like that day or couple days filming?
That was a very intense scene or scenes to film. And we were filming in this tiny little old house that had probably been sitting empty for I don't know how long. And I just remember like it reeked. Like I don't know what had happened in that house. I don't want to know, but it just like smelled of like mold and something probably unsavory might have happened there before we filmed there. I don't know. So in a way, I kind of used that to my advantage. I'm like, oh, so this is where this guy lives. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. This is really disgusting. Yeah, it was so like, hey, use it, if life, gives you lemons, make lemonade. So, yeah, like that location was like just disgusting. So I was like, wow. But then, like I at first I was like, why are we? And then I was like, oh, wait, I can just use this for like, fueling my, my aggression. Like, this is my life. This is my world. And, I'm acting out because it's the only way, out of desperation, back to what we were talking about before, like why my character would do what he did. I don't think he necessarily meant to kill Quentin. I don't think it was intentional, but, it was a fight or flight type situation, and he acted in the moment, and, it was obviously a horrible decision. But I don't think it was ever his intention to actually kill someone. Back to kidnapping Sam and Brooke, and his twisted mind, the reasoning behind that. Yeah, and the relationship he had with his brother, and they both were just kind of outcasts, from society, or of society, and yeah, so like when she comes to save the day, she, I love that scene because she kicks my butt, like, like literally kicked my butt. we, uh, yeah, we, had a stunt guy do a lot of the heavier stuff. Sophia did all of her own stunts. But she still kicked my butt, even in the little amount of time that we were, getting physical. I in real life, I would never want to like grapple with Sophia Bush because she's a badass, and she would definitely kick my ass. But yeah, yeah, no, but like that was definitely like a really or fun scenes to film, and just really yeah, it was I remember us, like when she comes in and we have the conversation in the living room, and it was such a weird, creepy bit of dialogue, and like in between takes we're both just like laughing because like, oh my gosh, like this is insane, like why am I saying this? Like like yeah, but yeah, so we had a lot of fun too, but like it was very physically intensive, but also like we had fun with it at the same time.
Excellent. And that's always nice to hear, that because that could be upsetting if it's not like in like a safe environment and that kind of thing. But then
Sure,
so
sure, sure.
that kind
Everyone
of
that was on this show was great, consummate professionals, including her. Like she just, yeah, they definitely like made that whole experience very smooth.
awesome. And then so then that's kind of wrapped up, and I guess we think that's it. They very conveniently find, Q's wallet there, and it's like, okay, good, yep, that's he did that. Then bum. No
Or
mention of
did he?
no mention of Roy, but that's fine. I mean, who does mention Roy? And then move on, and we think that's done, right? And then a few years later, like you said, like that you get the call. So what was the like initial phone call like, or what? How did they sort of pitch it to you?
Yeah, they had reached out to my agent at the time and said, "Hey, would he like to come back and do some more episodes?" And we kind of like had this idea for him coming back into this to the world, to Tree Hill, to torment Brooke, and it kind of just you know cause some chaos. And so, it's like, sign me up. Yes, please. uh, yeah. So that was really exciting to like, and completely unexpected to get asked to return a few seasons later. Yeah, and then that time I remember meeting with before we started filming. I met with the writer and director of that first episode that we filmed in season 9 that I was in, and we just kind of mapped out, like talked about everything and like what we want, what he envisioned for, what was going to be happening with the character, with the relationships, with the storyline of me, running amok in Tree Hill. Yeah, and so that was kind of cool because we didn't do that the first in season 6. We just kind of we just kind of rolled with it. Like, this is so, but again, back to like, we work with different people. They have different working styles. So this writer who happened to be directing that episode really wanted to kind of talk about it and, go through everything. And, I guess he felt even, more personal to him because he had written the episode. So that was kind of cool that he was also directing that episode. But yeah, like, I don't know. Yeah. It's kind of like stepping into an old pair of jeans or riding a bike. You get back on. Luckily, not too much time had passed. I mean, I guess 2 seasons, right? 7 and 8, and then came back at 9. But yeah, it was. And I had known some of the actors working on the show, but they had already moved on from the show as well. So it was kind of like, I was like, what? They're asking me back. This is crazy and very cool. But yeah.
Very, very cool. And I mean, when Xavier comes back in, there's the initial question is up for parole, and is that is he what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? Not
redeemed, or is he wait,
yeah,
reformed?
like reformed. Yeah,
Thank you.
reformed. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Collectively together we figured it out.
Yeah, exactly. And does has he made up is he ready to move on? And he's not. Like, he doesn't take accountability for it. He doesn't take responsibility for it, and that kind of leads Brooke to going against him. I mean, what did you think of that kind of decision? Like, I mean, I think we kind of thought that it keeps him antagonistic for the audience immediately to go through. Is that kind of what you were thinking too?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think that character, he, is operating from a place of just, animalistic survivalism. So I think when he goes to prison the first time, he has that time to stew, and he's gonna blame Sophia for putting him there. And so it's interesting, yeah, with that court scene, where with the hearing of whether or not I'm going to be released on parole, and it was kind of a fine line to walk. Austin Nichols actually directed that episode, which was really interesting. She comes to see me in prison and talks to me before we have our hearing, and we had discussed like that, that fine line of like, is he reformed? Is he not reformed? Like, you kind of like walk that line of like, maybe, but I think that's always more interesting, to for an audience to not know the uncertainty of like, it could go either way, and that heightens the suspense. But that was in my mind, I feel like he just was stewing in prison for 2 years, and then when he had the chance to be released, of course he's gonna save face and say whatever he needs to say to get out, and then he's gonna go right back to his old ways because now he's holding a very specific grudge against Brooke. So that's I wish they had written me in a different way. I wish I'd been reformed and gone on to be,
if Brooke had just given
citizen.
If Brooke had just given Xavier the job in the cat,
Right.
it would have been
That's
fine. They would have been best of friends
everything would have
by
been great.
the end of
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's Brooke's fault, if anything.
No, but that was fun, like coming back and working with her again, and um, working with some of the other cast members that I had not worked with before, because I didn't really work with that many people in season 6. It was just a handful of people, which everyone has their own storyline. So, which has always been great. It's been great years later, like finally meeting all or many of the other cast members from the show at like the conventions, because I'm like, we never got to work together, but everyone that worked on that show, it was just like it was a time and a place, and it really was like capturing lightning in a bottle. Everything just seemed to come together. For whatever the storytelling, the writing, the acting, the location. Wilmington served as this landscape to tell that story, and I have Wilmington holds a very special place in my heart. Speaking of, see, I keep Wilmington Bazaar. I had to represent today.
Love it.
It's from the Oddity Museum in downtown Wilmington, North Carolina. But yeah, no, I feel like you whatever that formula was, whoever knows if something's going to work, but everything clicked, and like that's unheard of to get 9 seasons, to get 9 years for a television show. That's pretty rare to have that many seasons, and that just shows that it resonated with so many people. Like people really connected with it, and I feel like music was a really integral part of the storytelling. Music was just as much a character as the location, as Wilmington was Tree Hill, as the characters themselves, and it kind of really served to tell those stories, as well as a lot of the cast being musicians as well, and expressing themselves through song as well as through their dialogue. But so it was just kind of like this, magical, formula that just worked. And I've gone way off on a tangent. I don't even know what was the question you asked to begin with. Sorry.
It was about being reformed, I think, which was where we're at. But it's all good. It's all good. I do have another one about Austin as the director for that episode.
Yeah.
Is it strange, kind of having like an opposite number that you're acting with, then suddenly they're in director mode, and and then next episode they're not the director again, and does it change the dynamic at all?
I was just in awe. He's brilliant, and he's gone on to direct a lot of things. That's what he's been doing recently. He's just directed in writing too, but he's directed a feature film. He's directed television, and he's just a very. I think I always say some of the best directors usually are also actors. Not always, but like. So he sees both sides of the coin, and working with him was great because he approached it from an actor's standpoint. So when we had conversations, we were communicating in that way, like kind of in a shorthand of that conversation went differently than it may have with just someone who's just a director or writer or what have you. But no, I was in awe of and I always am, of anyone who can wear both hats at the same time. I did a very, very brief little stint, like If You Blink You'll Miss Me, on Vampire Diaries years ago, and Ian Somerhalder was also directing. It was just him and myself in that scene, and he was also directing it while we were acting together at the same time. So so that was always cool. I'm like, I'm always like in awe of anyone that can do that and wear both of those hats at the same time.
Very cool.
Great answer again. We then get to see Xavier's sort of antagonizing Brooke at the cafe, and little things around there, and then
he just wants a job, Simon. He just wants a job. Leave him alone.
The way of the world right now, and anyone is just happy to have any job.
Well,
like these days.
I think there's probably a couple job opening at Roy's Bait and Tackle gas station
Oh
Dustin
no!
Roy. Let's bring him back up in the conversation, shall we?
Full
But
circle. Like in the reboot, it opens with Xavier. He's now a cashier at the bait and tackle shop.
That's it.
Yeah. All
perfect.
right. I like. We're developing this. I like this. I like. All right. Let's just
Just keep the flow going. Uh, the when it sort of gets to the conclusion of being in like the car park or parking lot, and a lot of creepiness there going on with the like in the elevator, and the fighting and chasing, and then ending in a good old fashioned tasing. You get a good, what was that, Dom?
It was holding the twin as well.
Oh yeah.
all right. Yeah.
That never even
They,
got referenced again. We were like, so this dude has broken into a house, held a baby. I mean, like, the last thing you do is wake a sleeping baby. That's the most psycho thing Xavier's ever done, is pick up a sleeping baby.
hands down, the most twisted thing that character did, besides obviously murdering two people. But
Yeah.
I was confused about that myself. I was like, why didn't they develop this storyline? I was certain when I read it that for the first time, I was like, oh, well, he's going to obviously kidnap the child, right? That's what you would think.
Mhm.
And then it's never mentioned again. Of course, this is probably, this is precursor to like the Ring and any, high-tech home security systems. So I guess maybe they didn't have a home security camera, and I was just able to somehow break into their home while they're sleeping and just hold the baby, put it down. I don't know why. Just
I'll tell you why.
sadistic pleasure I got for Xavier's own, like, just
Well,
because he
maybe
could.
he's just a solid dude, really. And actually, he was breaking in, and the baby woke up, and he thought, you know what, Brooke, Julian,
Exactly.
stay asleep.
Stay
I got
asleep.
this. Little rock
I
the
was just
baby
trying
back.
to. I was just trying to help. I was like, I didn't want them to have to wake up and have to, deal with that in the middle of the night. I
Yeah,
was just being a good Samaritan. So
so misunderstood.
so misunderstood.
So misunderstood. What's scary? Do you know what's scary, Devin? The scary thing is I feel like we could put this little clip out on Instagram, and I'd be scared of the comments.
Yeah.
People would be like, "You can't justify him," and be like, "Okay, come on, this is humorous. Okay, we're
Oh,
joking."
this is in jest. This is it's entertainment, everyone. At the end of the
His
day, it's entertainment, and it's a television show. It's not real life. So
You
There we
should,
go.
yes, there we go, exactly. But you get a good old fashioned tasing, in the car park and all of that. I mean, was that fun to was that fun to film?
no, because I'll tell you why. I first, I realized how out of shape I was, having to chase after Sophia, who was in excellent shape, um, and running through the car park, running through the parking lot. Um, it was in these like really clunky, heavy boots, and like 5 layers of clothing and a big jacket, and I'm like trying to run full speed, and I'm like, oh, I made it like probably like 20 yards, and I'm like out of breath, and I'm like, oh, this is embarrassing. Like so thankfully they didn't use much of that footage, but and then the falling down the stairs again, that was a stunt guy, a good friend of mine, and he did all the heavy lifting for that, and then when she actually at the very end, when she sticks the taser onto me, well, no, yeah, that it was an actual taser, just not a live taser, and it had like these really taser. It operates with a current of electricity between these two metal points, right? Well, unbeknownst to her, and I didn't want to say anything, but she's like jabbing into my chest repeatedly, like to give it the realism, the authenticity, and she didn't know it. It was like nothing on her, because like it was me. I should have said something, and I went home that night and I literally had like probably 100 indentions in my skin, these like purple marks where she just like jabbed me in the chest with with this really pointy taser. So No, I joke though, but no, that was a very fun scene to film, but it was also painful. So the struggle was real. Like that really hurt. Like when she was tasering me, that pain that you're seeing, that wincing on my face, like that was actual pain.
Oh God.
Not from electricity, but just from sharp metal points.
I love it. You suffered for your art, you could say.
Hey, that's what we do.
Can you tell us a bit more about like the stunt work that you were doing and like how that worked?
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I did a very small amount of the stunt work. Sophia did all of it herself. I think all of it. And my friend Grant Jewett was my stunt guy for both season 6 and 9. Amazing stunt performer. Guy's so talented and one of the nicest people in the world. And so, yeah, anytime like there's any like serious fighting happening between Xavier and Brooke, that's Grant, and sometimes Sophia, and then some. I think she did actually have a stunt double for a few scenes, but mainly all of that was Grant, give or take, some really light fighting, and then yeah, Grant took the fall down the stairs for me. So when I'm chasing Brooke in the parking garage, that's Grant falling down the stairs. And when yeah, Sophia's fighting with me in the house where I kidnapped Sam, that's Grant. So yeah, I have to give him some, much deserved props, and Sophia for all her amazing stunt work as well.
Yeah, awesome. Love that. Well, if it's okay, we have a couple listener questions.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, please. Yeah, by all means.
So Chuck asks, were you a fan of the show before you were cast, and how did it feel coming back for season 9? I mean, you've kind of answered, but yeah, were you a fan of the show before?
I had not watched the show. I had seen a few episodes, and I really enjoyed what they were doing with the story and um, it being set in Wilmington, North Carolina, and my limited knowledge of it was just working on it. Those 2 times playing drums in the background. And I'm embarrassed to say, no, at the time I had not watched the show. I don't know what I was busy doing, life things. I don't know. Um, and if I have to be completely honest, it's on my bucket list. I have not seen the full series. That is one of my New Year's resolutions, is to watch the series in its entirety. But I was a fan of my friends Colin Moss and Vaughn Wilson, who were on the show,
Mm.
because they're good friends of mine, and I was a terrible friend apparently because I hadn't watched the show, even though I knew them and they were on the show at that time, before I came in. Colin plays Junk, and Vaughn plays Fergie, or yeah, on the show. Yeah.
Well, Devin, I mean, but well, I think you are number 35, I believe, because I counted the other day of how many cast and crew interviews we've done.
That's amazing.
we
Wow.
which we've done, and we've got. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but there's this term of the core five, which is like the original five, like like
Yes.
Sophia, Hillary, so on, so on. And we've got four of those. We're only missing Chad. He's the only one we're missing. But
Amazing.
we've
Kudos.
but yes, thank you. We've said so often how wonderful it would be to have Junk or Fergie on. So like if there's ever a way that we can like reach out or pass the message through you, if you could tell them
I,
we treated you nicely, like we would love to
you know,
talk to them.
I think I might be able to hook that up. I think that's definitely doable. I mean, I can't speak on behalf of them, but I can definitely relay the message, and what a joy it's been to talk to you guys today. So I will do my best to try and see if we can make that happen.
Oh, that would be amazing.
It's the
Thank you so
best.
much. Thank you. It's kind of been a
Absolutely.
thing that people have been passing things on. Like so like when we had Paul Johansson on, he then helped us get Barbara Allen Woods on, or when
Amazing.
we had Johnny Norris, one of the writers, on, he helped us get Lee Norris on, or we had Mike Harrow on, he helped us get James Lafferty on. It's kind of been like everyone's done us the favors, and hope
Yeah.
I don't know what we're doing, but hopefully we're trying to help keep the fandom going or promoting the show.
Absolutely. I love it. I love what you guys are doing. And I would be happy to try to persuade them to join the club.
Well, thank you. We
Thank you so much.
appreciate it. Well, Sarah asks if, and you kind of touched on this already a bit, I guess, but did you watch your TV brother as Jeffrey Dahmer, and did you keep in contact with him?
Evan is so talented. I know I'm repeating myself now. And I started watching it, and it was so dark. I'm gonna go back and finish it. Like I was like, man, I don't, and I know Evan, but like I was like, man, I don't know if I can watch this. This is so dark. But so I've only seen the first 2 episodes of the limited series, but it is on my watch list of things I'm definitely going to finish it. And Evan is amazing in everything that he's been in, from American Horror Story to and he's in the new season upcoming with Ariana Grande of American Horror Story. They announced that recently. But yeah, he's such a nice guy, and I ran into him. Yeah, at one of these conventions last year. Was it this year? Yeah, somewhat recently. Yeah, so it was great catching up with him. But yeah, he's mad respect for that guy.
Excellent, great
Awesome.
answer. And then Charlie asks, I'd be interested in knowing how Devin got himself into the mindset of Xavier, like if he had an experience similar to Skeet Ulrich on Scream, and how people reacted to that. If he had a similar experience to Paul, who received hate based on his character. I'd also like him to know that his mega talented had me totally convinced and scared me.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, thank you, Sarah. Yeah. Enlighten me. What was Skeet's
So
experience with the Scream? Did he have some psycho stalkers or something happen?
I
Like
don't,
what?
I don't actually know what that's in reference to either, but I'm guessing that maybe people, because she's saying about Paul, when we had Paul Johansson on, he was saying that when the episode, I mean, I don't want to spoil it if you don't know, but he did some, do you know?
I understand he did some not so great things too. Yes, yeah. So you're
Okay,
spoiling it. Yeah.
okay, and so he said that when that like aired and everything, that he was on
He
a
killed his
plane.
brother, right? He killed Craig Shuffer,
He killed his
right?
brother.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
do know something. All right, okay, right.
okay, yeah. He killed his brother, and um who also got a lot more attention than Roy did, but that's fine. But he then when he said he was on a plane in real life, and a woman like complained to the flight attendant saying, I will not sit near this man. He is a murderer. Like he murdered his brother. Like being completely serious. And he was sort
Wow.
of having to say, hey, I'm an actor. This is TV, and so on, so on, so on. But sort of, has anybody ever reacted like, I don't want to be near you, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I have encountered people in especially in Wilmington. I feel like it happens a lot every time I'm back in Wilmington. I don't know. This is where I guess One Tree Hill fans like to hang out since that's where it was filmed. But people have told me many times like they wanted to like come up and say hey, but they were afraid to actually talk to me because they were terrified, I guess, of the character that I played on the show. Or at some of the conventions I've had, a lot of people say they were afraid to meet me. Yeah, like so they would just observe from afar while I was meeting everyone else, and then they would later tell me, or then their friends would say, "Oh no, but he's not really a psycho killer," and then come the next cycle of whatever convention, they would muster the courage to actually come up and introduce themselves. So. Yeah, but no, I mean, like that. It's so It's so funny to think, like, to imagine someone being afraid of me, but of the character I can see, because he wasn't the nicest guy in Tree Hill. But yeah, no, like, so I've definitely, like, I don't think I've ever got any, like, hate mail or messages or anything like that, thankfully, because I have some friends who have for other parts that they've played, and that's always kind of scary, because you're like, when real life and fantasy collide again, sometimes, I don't know. In these times, it's a crazy world we live in. You never know. But yeah, but thankfully, the worst I think I've ever encountered is just people saying that they were too scared to come talk to me.
Oh. Although imagine being a huge One Tree Hill fan and seeing Devin in a parking lot, sort of like in a multi-story car park. You would definitely run the other way, I think, with all due
I
respect.
run when I'm in a parking lot. I'm afraid of parking lots, especially at night. They're scary. They're like, especially if you're like, you're the only person. Yeah. Like, I'm like constantly looking over my shoulder, like, it's funny. I have that, and I was in, like, a parking lot. I'm not even joking. And I got in an elevator. This was at night, and there happened to be a fan of the show that was in the elevator with me. So it really was life imitating art, imitating life. And that was hilarious. But, like, we both had a good laugh about it. But yeah. And yeah, one time I ran into Robbie at the mall in Wilmington, North Carolina, a few years after we had filmed together. Yeah, just randomly, we both happened to be in Wilmington at the same time. I don't even know why. And yeah, so yeah, but of course, no one was there to witness that. But yeah, we laughed. We're like, reunited at last under much better terms.
Nice.
And again, no Roy though.
No Roy.
No one cared if Roy was at the mall. But...
Roy's just, Roy needs to get his comeuppance somehow. I don't know. We need to can
we get a bench or something dedicated
right?
to Roy? Like,
yeah, dedication of Roy. Poor Roy.
Well, can you tell us a bit about, you've spoken a bit about your music, but like, where can people, like, listen to your music and support that and get involved in that?
Yes, thank you for asking. Yeah, we are on social media as Pronghorn Los Angeles, and we are also on all the major streaming platforms that stream wherever you stream your music. So if you look up Pronghorn Los Angeles, you will be able to discover and take a listen to some of the stuff we've been putting out. And thank you in advance for anyone who we always appreciate new listeners or anyone that would love to like to follow our Instagram page. Thank you in advance. We appreciate it, because it's hard being a struggling musician, especially in Los Angeles.
Well, as like you said, music is so integral to One Tree Hill, and though as you said, you haven't maybe seen tons of One Tree Hill. Do you have like one of your songs that you think is what's like a good entry point for a One Tree Hill fan? That's like, where should people start in the discography, do you think?
That's an excellent question. Wow.
Or do you just have a personal favorite song of yours
all our music is a bit avant-garde and kind of obscure, and especially the lyrics. So this will make perfect sense in alignment with what I just said. Probably Pumpkin Farm Burns on a Saturday. I didn't write the lyrics, so I can't tell you exactly what it means. It's metaphorical, but because it reminds me of Halloween, and Xavier, that of course is his favorite holiday, and it's kind of just a creepy, weird song, and Yeah. So yeah, start with Pumpkin Farm burns on a Saturday.
Love it.
Good
Love
place
it.
to start.
Perfect place to start. Well, this has been an absolute pleasure and an honor to have you here because you're a big part of a show like and such a big impact for I think seven episodes, but like a so memorable, so important to so many different people's storylines, and so a big impact in a show that means a lot to me and to so many, and to Dom now, he gets it, and to so many other people, to our listeners and people around the world, with a fandom that continues to grow. You know, with these conventions, it's not going anywhere. So thank you for your time today, but also for your work on the show in general.
Well, thank you guys for being such amazing hosts, and it's been an absolute pleasure. And yeah, I will share the love, and I look forward to hopefully fulfilling your request to get Colin and Vaughn on next. Let's make that happen, right?
That would be the best. That would be the best, but no pressure. Don't worry.
No, I will do my best, I promise.